For today's session, Cloud for DevOps. Uh, this is the assumption, and the reality is the cloud adds wheels to your code. So, here we are going to discuss some use cases and how this wheels run and run faster so that it is easy for the developers, management, the project to understand how your code. Uh, going faster to the deployment and to the outside world. So what we are going to discuss in this is how cloud helps in DevOps and some cloud features like mostly we'll discuss on AWS EC2 instance, their features, although it is not specific to EC2, the cloud, but here we are going to discuss on AWS EC2. Then we'll be discuss about Ansible workflow and its architecture, how it works, and some use cases and little bit hands-on, end-to-end, some kind of you can say deployment or in the pipeline. So how cloud helps in DevOps. So all of us know that nowadays DevOps is being a very adaptive thing for every organization. So it means the empowering of team for better leverage their time and skill, so that we can give quality product and deliverable uh, to the uh, end of the every delivery. So the focus of DevOps is work together to make sure things get done right the fast time, and projects spend less time, so that we are not juggle back and forth between different teams. So how this will be achieved in a smoothless manner, if you are not doing everything in on premises. So the cloud comes into that picture. Like cloud computing enables the collaboration without all the downtime of sending files back and forth to team members. So what does it mean? So it's like by using cloud computing, we can leverage your implementation, your DevOps activities in cloud, and so that we'll get minimal downtime and back and forth of files between different developers and the quality validation team, um, along with other stakeholders. So how it helps? So cloud allows for easily building to experimental test environment as well. So if you want to say test some application and it requires some heavy machine, heavy configuration machine, so it is not uh, before cloud, if you are not going to cloud, you need to do everything in your on premises. So which is like highly cost and headache of managing the physical hardwares, and it will also take a lot of time to build that environment. And suppose during the testing environment or during the unit testing, you found that this environment is not suitable for us, we need to change the environment to some other configuration. So at that time, the testing team or the validation team will be blocked because the environment is not ready. So we need to rearrange those hardwares physically, and we need to configure it. We need to depend on IT person. Then only we'll able to proceed it. So by using cloud, you can do everything with a fraction of minutes. So everything is available in cloud. Every infrastructure is available. Every kind of different variant of machines are available on cloud. So you can directly jump into that machine, and you can easily configure your environment, and you can proceed with your validation or implementation or development work. So we can avoid the downtime and the blockage. So removing the need of physical machine test increases time saving. This we have already discussed. Uh, so one main benefit of cloud is like the concept is like pay as you go. So if you want to use it of a few hours, you use the instances for a few hours and you can terminate it, and you can only pay for that hour or that minute or that second, whatever the amount you have used. If you want to use it for longer duration, like I want a dedicated machine to make it like a server, so there are different packages also. Yearly subscription, 6 month subscription, you can take it and you can save the money. In case of on-premise activities, if you want to do the configuration of Jenkins, if you want to do the database kind of servers, so it requires physical hardware as well as maintenance of that hardware, the electricity consumption of that hardware, persons who need to take care of that, they need to take care of that server and all the environments. So that is unnecessarily headache for the organization or the project. So that can be avoided easily by moving towards cloud. So only pay when you when you are going to use it, and you are not going to pay anything when you are not going to use it. But that needs to be some uh, smart configuration or smart architecture, that you need to first decide at which time I need to down my instances or my configuration infrastructure, so that it will consume less price. So by this means we can be, if we uh, configure if we implement DevOps, all the DevOps activities with cloud, so ultimately we are getting a good productivity as well as cost effectiveness. Cost effectiveness in the sense the on-premise infrastructure, we are reducing that. The person who is taking care of those things, they are not required. Obviously few peoples are required, and that is the part of DevOps teams regular monitoring activity. And productivity in the sense like at the night time, if you if some development work is done and the code has been checked in, and from the git, and the pipeline has been configured in the Jenkins, so that it will take the code from git and automatically it got the integration build has been built, and it will test it. Everything goes fine, then it will automatically deploy the build. So that kind of thing can be done. uh, you can configure in the Jenkins at which frequency you want to do this, all the criteria, so that it will help easy to it will increase the productivity. So here going forward for the cloud, we are going to mainly discuss on AWS EC2 instance. So it is nothing but a elastic compute cloud. It is simply a you can say that physical hardware kind of. So it is not in our control, it is control of some uh, third party. It is of AWS, it can be of cloud, Google Cloud, it can be of Microsoft Azure. So uh, here we are going to discuss AWS EC2. So it is nothing but imagine EC2. It eliminates your need to invest in hardware upfront, so you can develop and deploy applications faster. You can use Amazon EC2 to launch as many as a few virtual servers as you need. Configure security and networking. There are different options, like how you are going to configure your security of your application, your network. So all these facilities are available. And also we will get storage facility like block storage, file storage. You can do the same using Amazon S3. Amazon EC2 enables you to scale up down to handle changes in requirement to spikes in popularity. So if you want to scale up your application, you can do horizontal scaling, vertical scaling also using this Amazon EC2. So, and you can easily monitor how your infrastructure is behaving with different monitoring tools, inbuilt tools like CloudWatch and all those. So what are the different features of EC2? So uh, uh, if you are going to build a machine in your own premises, so what you're going to do, you purchase the hardware depending on your configuration, then you install some operating system in that, then depending on your requirement, you are installing different softwares, and you are going to connect this to the network, and you need to take care of the firewall settings. You need to take care of your security things of your network if it is facing towards your external network. So all these things can be taken care by AWS EC2 as well. So in the AWS console, you'll get every options to do all these facilities. So the hardware or the infrastructure is being managed by Amazon. You are going to They are going to provide you the console with the credentials. You need to create it, and you can easily uh, change according to your requirement. So if anything goes failure, so that is also taken care by Amazon. So it is like if your hardware got failure, your hard disk crashes and all those things, so they will be taken care of all these backup kind of activities. uh, of course, if your application is breaking or your application is not working properly, that is not headache of Amazon, that is your own project and organization's headache that we need to take care of. So these are different features like AMI, that is Amazon Machine Image. That package, it is kind of the operating system OS, you can say, and it has some customized image also available. Amazon, there are a lot of images. uh, you can uh, uh, you can choose according to your requirement the bundle of images. It has there are some images, it has SQL, PHP already installed in that package. You can just choose that and use as per your requirement. You have CPU, memory, storage, and networking capacity. You can use that easily. We'll see the bit overview of these in the AWS console, how these things looks like. And secure login using key pair. So public key that we are going to store it in your own machine or in your uh, organization's machine, so that it is secure. Only when the key pair is known to a person, then only he or she is able to access your machine. So that is very highly secure, and also it is the working person's responsibility how they are going to save this key pair in a secure way. uh, Storage volume for temporary data that is deleted when you stop or terminate your instances. It's like you have provision of stopping the instance, you have provision of terminating the instance. If you don't want to use further, you can terminate that, so that it will not impact your billing structure. You don't need to pay the money. If you stop it also, you are not going to pay anything. Of course, it depends on your infrastructure. If you are using some static IP, then you need to pay some money for that. So then persistent storage volume, and yes, important thing is like you have provided different availability zone, uh, which is called as the regions. So if you want to have your application in different region, like region A and region B, the purpose is like uh, if by any means your region A power got failure, then your application will be would have been replicated in region B, and your application will never got down, because in region B also you have your active application. So that is the beauty of this. You have different availability zones. You can put it. You have the option to set the firewall settings. You have the options for static IP. It is like elastic IP address. You have the options like you can add your tags to whatever the infrastructure you are going to use. It will reflect as per your tags, so it will be easy to track. And virtual networks, which is called as VPC, you can use that, and whatever the configuration you're going to use, you can use inside the virtual private cloud. And then depending on your configuration, you can define the network routing and all those things. So what is Amazon machine image? It's like uh, it is a package like you have uh, it's kind of a virtual machine. So we have packaged Amazon has packaged a virtual machine in an image. You can choose that image depending on your requirement, like if your application requires Apache, PHP, MySQL, then you can choose according to your requirement the image. So you can also design your own customized image if you created, and you can save it for your further use. You can do the same also using the proper options. So this is bit overview of EC2. So why I am just explaining EC2, because the use case which we are going to cover here is like we have configured we are going to configure Jenkins machine in a EC2 instance, and we are going to configure Ansible also inside that EC2 instance, and we'll create another EC2 instance which works as a slave node for that Ansible. And we are going to define the job inside your Jenkins, and if we run the job, then your playbook of Ansible is going to execute, and we are simply going to install Apache 2 server in the slave node. And we can see that whatever the changes we have done, it will reflect in that slave node. So suppose you take a use case like developer has checked in the code, and we have configured inside the Jenkins like the pipeline is like this. The code is being checked in, and Jenkins has pulled that code from GitHub, and now it is going to deploy that deploy that uh, code into an image in the say finally in the Docker. So Ansible plays a crucial role here, that for it helps in the deployment of your uh, um, build. uh, Ansible has different roles as well. If you like suppose a IT person in your company wants to install a single software and lot of machines, 100 machines, so it is very difficult for him to install the software by going each and every individual machine and then install it. So Ansible gives a automated way of doing that by simply creating a playbook, or you can say that a module, and you can easily run that module in the master node, and it will easily install all the required details in the slave nodes. Slave nodes means those 100 machines. So that can be easily done through Ansible. So this is the simple use case we are going to discuss. Like we have Jenkins, and we configure the Ansible, and also we are trying to do the Apache server in the slave node. So before going into that, just trying to explain about Ansible workflow. What is Ansible? As I mentioned, it is simply a IT infrastructure tool which leverages automated way of handling your lot of you can say slave nodes. And the thing is like it is very secure between the connection. The connection is very secure between your management node and the slave node, because it is through SSH protocol, which is highly secure. So this diagram shows here the Ansible, which is the management node, and here there are a lot of slave nodes, which are called as hosts. Inside the management node, we have provision of like one inventory file and one playbook. Inventory is nothing but we are going to define this host nodes details IP address and the username. And playbook is like whatever the automated command you want to execute, and so that the uh, you can say the image or the uh, application can be installed in these slave nodes. So we're going to see how this works. So this is the simple architecture of Ansible. We have public and private cloud. We can say this is our AWS, and we can easily communicate with Ansible from the cloud uh, using your inventory file. We have modules. We have provision of plugins as well. There are a lot of plugins available. You can use depending on your requirements. Like we are going to configure, uh, we are going to call Ansible in Jenkins. So we need a plugin for that. This is simply a IT warehouse. CMDB is a database data warehouse. Here the external user we can access easily to the Ansible, and the playbook are like we have different instructions. Based on that, the master node will execute those commands and they'll push those activities in the slave node. So you have provision of networking as well as your uh, host machines. So we can see how to install your Ansible depending on your operating system. We have um, all the options available how to install if you are going to use your uh, Ubuntu machine. So these are the set of commands, and you can easily get the set of commands of different operating system in the Ansible site itself. So one more thing, Python is required for this. While you install the Ansible, it is automatically downloading the Python. But make sure before executing any playbook, you need to check whether your Python is installed on the machine or not. So there are two types of machine, like control machine and remote machine. So control machine is like the master node, and remote machine is the host machines, or you can say slave nodes. So the master machine or control machine is the one which controls the uh, uh, slave nodes or the master nodes. You just simply install Ansible in the master machine and no need to install Ansible in the slave node. This is the one installation only in the uh, master machine. So how we are going to set up? So for this we have already explained. I have already explained how this is going to be. So I have done some pre-configuration in that. I can show you how we have done this. So this is the AWS console. You uh, can simply do. So when you open the AWS Amazon.com console, so you will see this kind of screen. So if you don't have any account, you can create it very easily with few steps. And if you have already account, you can directly log in. So I have the account already created. I'm going to log in. So this is the console, the dashboard we are going to see when you open this. So these are different services like EC2, billing, S3. You can get easily. What we discussed that different services is being provided like S3, storage for object on and files. So these are the different options: EC2, dashboard, events, and instances, Amazon image, AMI. If you click on this, so if you're going to services, so you have all the services available here. You can see EC2, Lambda, uh, analytics, kind of all the facilities, which all the services which is available. CloudWatch, you can see storage for S3, S3 Glacier, databases like DynamoDB, Elastic Cache, RDS. So whatever the service you want to use, you can use from here. So here we are going to here see the EC2 management console. So how you can going to create your EC2? So just go and so they have recently updated this uh, dashboard actually. uh, we are getting the option like new EC2 experience. So this is just a few days back it's being launched. So here all the images are available like Amazon Linux to Red Hat, Ubuntu Server 18.04. So for your trial purpose and so it's better. It's written free tier eligible. So means if you are going to use it, you are not going to pay anything for this image. Wherever it is not written, those are chargeable. It's like here it is not written, so this is your uh, chargeable. If you are going to use it, you need to pay for it, whatever the duration. So for the free tier, you are not going to pay anything. So for creation of this EC2, you can I'm going to select this Ubuntu server. So here we have different kind of options like T2 micro, what is the configuration we are going to use, the what is the memory, RAM. So these are the different options. So we are going to use this T2 micro is the free tier eligible, all others are chargeable. So we are going to use this. So here we have different options available like your availability zone. If you are not going any preference, so it will create by default whatever the zone is nearer to your zone. Otherwise you can choose any specific zone here. So for initial purpose for creating anything, you no need to change anything, just simply click next, and here the storage like your you can say your yeah, hard disk purpose. So general purpose SSD 8 GB is fine for this. Go for this and add tags. Here you can name, and here you can say whatever the instance you are going to use it. You can name it Jenkins test. Configure security group. So security group is like which ports you are going to open for this machine. So obviously I'm going to SSH this machine. in my local machine. So I have to open the port 2020, port 22, and for this use case purpose I need to configure your custom TCP rule port 8080 for Jenkins, and add one more thing for HTTP connection so that I can see the Apache server, and it can be accessible your publicly, which is your port 80. Review and launch. So before creating this, it is showing a dashboard summary that whatever you have selected you can review, and at this time also you can edit it. You can edit anything, your storage, your tag, your instance details, even you can change the image as well. Mi. So here launch, and here it is asking the key pair, which I was saying that this is very important. You need to save it for your future, because once it is lost you cannot access your machine actually. So it's good that you can save it in a secure place. So you can overwrite your existing, or you can create a new one. Okay, I can say that for testing key. Before that you need to download the key pair, and it will save, and you can launch the instance. So it will take few minutes uh, to up and running. This is the one which we have created now. So it is saying instance state is pending and it is in initialization state. You get all the details like what is your public IP, what is your private IP, which kind of machine you have taken, what is the instance ID, which can be used for automation of this instance. So this is all your rules. So I have already created one instance which is my Jenkins and Ansible already configured here. So we can see directly this. So how to connect this? You can go to connect, and you can this is your the command you can use directly here, or you can simply go open your console, like you can use for Windows you can use putty, or you can directly use your Linux. For Ubuntu you can use Ubuntu 18.04 LTS application, also available for Windows. So I'm going to close this connection, and this is the command which I have already created this instance, and here you can see SSH, Ansible, the PEM file, and your public IP address of your machine. So when you use this, you are going to give the password of your Linux configuration while you have created this Ubuntu image, while installing Ubuntu image. Just a second. So you can easily see this is your private IP of the machine which I have created. This is the private IP 50.6, and this is the 50.6. Similarly, I have created one instance which is my slave node in the same way which we created like Jenkins test. So its IP is like this is the public IP. So I have already logged into that IP. So this is the private IP of the slave node. Okay. So what is next I'm going to do? We need to install. So for this, what we are going to do, there should be some way that without password we need to connect from master to the slave. So for that we need to configure the SSH key, public SSH key of master to your slave node. So the process is like you need to generate the SSH key and copy the ID RSA public key into the authorized key file of the slave node. So if you see cat, so this is the key actually of my master node, and in the slave node I can see in the authorized key I have added this key already. So you are simply going to copy this key and paste it here by in the editing mode. You can use any V editor or Nano. You can just copy it here so that it can easily communicate with each other. And how we can see that these can be easily communicated. Now the link is up or not, so you can use this command. So SSH-I ID RSA and private IP of your slave machine, so which is this one. So this is the private IP, and now I am able to connect this. It means my master and slave can communicate with each other. Okay, now what we are going to do, we are going to install Ansible in the, we have already installed Ansible in this machine. So these are I hope my screen is visible to you all. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were here. Yeah. So after that, we are going to install the Ansible using these commands, apt-get update, uh, and you can use this command sudo apt install Ansible. So after that, you can simply uh, check the version. Uh, so you'll get the version if it is installed properly. Okay, so you can see we have Python also installed along with this. So now what we are going to do, so after the installation, it is installed in your /etc folder, which is your Ansible. Here it is installed. So when we go, we'll check which all files are available in this. So we have two files available, ansible.config and hosts file. So this is nothing but your inventory file, and host file is like your the host detail files, which we are going to say the slave nodes IP details and user credentials. So I'm just opening this. Ansible.config file, and here I have already edited this file, but before after installation this all commands are commented. So I have uncommented this inventory because I'm going to say that this is my host file, which is my inventory file, and you are going to read it from here. And here I'm going to allow the sudo user as root so that I can easily execute all the commands. So for now, these two things are only applicable for this demo. You can explore more by going into the Ansible site. What are the significance of all the commands in the configuration file? And now I'm going to open the hosts file. Here you can mention whatever the available nodes you have, the slave nodes. So here I have created a name like hosts. So here the Ansible going to understand that this is the host. These are the hosts available. So I have just created only one host whose name is node1 I am giving here, and the Ansible host which is your using Ubuntu as a user, and this is the public IP address of your slave node. And here I am specifically saying for me I am going to use Python 3 because we have lot of Pythons available. So I am specifically saying I am going to use this Python 3. So that's why I am giving this. So now we are good to go with the communication. If your host file is fine, your configuration file is okay, you can simply ping from your master node to the slave node, and if the reply is okay, that is ping pong, then your slave and node can talk each other. So the command is like ansible -m ping all. So if you are getting this response, then your node 1 is successfully ping from your master node. Okay, and now what we are going to do, we are going to uh, create a playbook where we are saying to Ansible master node that we are going to install Apache 2 server in our slave node, and also we are going to display some messages like welcome kind of messages in my index.html, so that whenever I open my application I will see that message. So for that you need to create a YML file. The playbook is written in YML language. This is very simple. So I have already created that file. So this is my YML file. I'm going to open this. So YML nothing but a simple language which is widely being used for Ansible, um, yet another markup language. So this is the syntax of YML. You need to start with 3 hyphens. Then whatever the parameters we are going to use, you need to give a single hyphen, then space and name of this playbook. I have given that this is a sample playbook. Host is like whatever the host name I have given in my host file. So if you remember, I have given in the square brackets the hosts name to identify the host cluster. So this is the name of that. Become true is like uh, we are not we can easily talk with this playbook with the slave node. What are the tasks or we are going to perform? So we are going to install Apache 2 here. So these are the set of commands if you are going to install Apache 2 individually. So you need to first execute update cache, then update cache is like whatever the prerequisite things are required, it will install automatically. And then you need to if you want to use it as a single command in the Ubuntu machine, then you could have written that sudo apt and install your Apache 2, and then your state should be latest. So here I am giving the same thing in YML format, and name is like here I'm giving another task like create content. So what is the content I'm going to create it? I'm simply writing welcome to DevOps Guru with HTML format, and this message should be copied to the HTML index.html file, so that the by default index.html file can be overwritten with this message. So you can think about, like, this is a kind of package I am getting from the development team from the GitHub, and this is going to be deployed in my final build environment. So this is the message I am going to see, and this is the final product I am going to see in my application in the slave node. So the same thing we are simulating here using Ansible. So this we have created this, and if we are going to execute this playbook file, Ansible playbook, and then so since I have executed it previously, so it has changed nothing, but it is being successfully executed. So let me just uh, I will edit it. So let's see if I can get the message. So this is the public IP address of my slave node 201, and this is the one, and I can get this. Suppose I want to here add some other string so that I can see if this works properly or not. So simply go to that playbook, and I'm just going to here. Okay. Now I'm executing the same thing. So here it is showing in node 1 there is some change, so it is one change. And now if I am going to see if it is there, so I am getting this in my slave node. So this we have configured locally. Okay, so we are going to execute all these commands in the master node. So same thing we can configure in Jenkins, so that only we can trigger the job and everything will be done. So what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to edit this YML file again, and now I'm okay. I have edited this, and I'm not going to use anything here. So if you have attended our previous uh, webinar, so we have explained how Jenkins will be configured in your EC2 instance. So here, this is my master node where I have also installed the Jenkins. So this is my public IP address. So I can simply go and hold on. So in the previous webinar, you can see how we can reach to this. So I'm not going to cover this here. So I'm just simply login in the Jenkins, and here you can see the Jenkins dashboard we have, and this is also running on the same EC2 instance where Ansible is already installed. So here I have already created a workspace like item, which is my Ansible. And if you go to the configuration, so what we have done, we have simply okay, before that, go to a new item and create whatever you want to be your workspace or project name, and choose freestyle project. So we have created in the same way this one, Ansible. So go to the configuration after creating your project. You can go to that, click on that, and simply go to the build one. So here we have executed the same command here before after configuring the SSH key ping. So here also I am doing the same command by going through this execute cell, and we have Ansible playbook. So how this comes actually, yeah, I missed one thing. So before moving into the Ansible part in the Jenkins, you need to add your plugin like Ansible plugin. So go to manage Jenkins and manage plugins. So you can go to available and you can search here Ansible. So since I have already installed Ansible plugin, so it is only showing which is not installed, which is your Ansible table. But if I go to installed one, so it is showing Ansible plugin, which is I have already configured in my this Jenkins. So this you need to do before moving to your job creation. So then go to configure, and here you can give the same command ansible -n ping all, so that I can confirm that my ping is working or not. And here I'm going to give the playbook file name, and this is the complete path. So go to the master node, and here you can see pwd, the present working directory, which is home and Ubuntu, and my YML file also sitting here, which is this. So I'm simply giving this with this file name in my Jenkins configuration, and this is invoke Ansible playbook option. We can select from here. So after this, nothing to do, only apply and save. So since I have done this one, so after that you just go to your workspace and give the build now. So here it is, you can see the status. So here the ping pong is success, and here the build is finished, one change, and now we can go to our server and check whether it is updated or not. So this we have done in our playbook code. So by this you can see that from Jenkins we can easily access Ansible, and through Ansible we can easily deploy the build, or you can easily send the war file, copy it. Also you can easily create another instance from the master Ansible, and at the after your work is finished you can destroy that from the by using the termination feature of EC2. So this is the complete use case we have shown, and go to the instance which we have created earlier before starting of this use case. So this is the instance we have created. Here you can see, suppose if you want to configure some security groups, want to add some security group in this instance which we have created. So we have different options in the actions. You can go to the instance networking, and here you can see change security group, add network interfaces, change source to destination check, all these. And if you want to stop this, instance. So you can go to here and simply stop it, or you can reboot it, or you can terminate it. So here I'm going to terminate it. So it will take few time to terminate it. So after the termination, it will take few minutes to get it disappear. Like this, I have already stopped. So it will show like stopped. If it is terminated, then it will remove from this window, this dashboard. Okay. So I think we have covered all these things. We reached to this, and this is another one which I have explained. Like we did a simple thing, like from one Ansible we have configured the slave Ansible, and from there we triggered some build, so that we'll get the required application in my slave node. The same thing can be done, like if you have some binary kind of thing available from the Git created by the developer, and that is available, and after the automated testing, all those things got passed, you are going to create the image, and now you are going to push it to a Docker, to the Docker cluster. So you can do the same from Ansible as well. You can directly push that to the Kubernetes as well, and these two also can communicate between these. So this all can be done over cloud, so that there is no headache for us for the on-premise hardware, physical hardware, server configuration, the time to time update of required softwares. So that headache will be nullified by using cloud. Okay, any questions you have? We are open to. Okay, so this is all from my side for today's session. You can visit our site edevopsguru.com. You will get more useful videos over there. You can go through them. We'll upload this recorded video as well there. Uh, and if you have any questions, so please let us know. Comment it in that in our YouTube channel. We'll happy to assist you. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you for the patience, and a good night.